A good time here? Yeah. A lot of free, I mean, did you see anyone last night drinking free drinks?
I partook of a few free drinks.
That's why you need sunglasses up here today.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Very
Don't
true.
look at the lights, everybody, when you're up here.
One thing before we get started, I just want to say this. Bill has no idea I'm going to say this here. A lot of you are actually new. Bill, how many years have you worked at ARCOS now?
12, coming up on 13.
12 years, so with almost 13 years. So all of the new people, I just want to say this and give a shout out to Bill. I mean, he really helped build so much of what ARCOS has, and he knows so many of you out there. So for all of the new people, if you ever get a chance, come up to him, talk to him, throw ideas at him. I mean, he's so good at that type of thing. So I just wanted to give a shout out to him.
Thank you.
Before we start here. That was impromptu. Sorry, you had no idea I was doing that. I want to do that.
No problem. Thank you very much, and thanks to all of you. I do want to say that this session, this Wednesday morning session, is a traditional session at the ARCOS Conference, and it was here when I joined, and hopefully it'll be here for a long time. Wednesday morning is typically the last day, and what we like to do is collect all of your great feedback, both throughout the year, but also those feedback items that have been entered or sent or spoken to us, maybe even over a free drink at conference. And the Wednesday morning session, we get a chance to discuss those with you. Typically, what we've done in the past is literally have a big like sort of vinyl board stuck on one wall, and everybody's running up with Post-it notes and sticking Post-it notes all over that board. And Wednesday morning is like Post-it note roundup, and we're peeling Post-it notes off the stack and calling on all of you to tell us why your idea is important and what it would mean to your business if ARCOS implemented that change or added that feature or product. So we're going to do something like that today as well. Except this time we're all about killing paper and spreadsheets, and so we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to do it with the ARCOS Idea Bank. So first we're going to start off discussing how the ARCOS Idea Bank works and how you can use it to interact with us and with each other. Then we're going to take some ideas that you've entered over the past year, as well as some really hot off the presses and fresh ideas we either got entered in the Idea Bank or we heard around around the bar or over a dinner table, and we're going to feature a few of those. And I've already picked on a few of you and said I'm going to call on you. So we definitely want this session to be interactive.
Yes.
We've got some mic runners around. We always have mic runners, but today, take a deep breath, mic runners. Stretch out. Do some calisthenics. Yeah, thanks. I know PJ's up here. We told PJ we want to see perspiration, fatigue.
Yes. Except no falls. We don't want to workers' comp.
No falls. Safety.
Yeah, just no fall.
Always
safety first. If
but
PJ runs through, let him through.
High effort.
Yeah.
So please raise your hand, and again, we may call on some folks.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing is interrupt us. Like seriously, like we want this to be interactive. So whatever you have to say, even if you are actually tired of us, feel free to tell us that. We'll put it in the idea bank. We'll put it in the idea bank here. Great. Okay. Yeah. Let's go ahead and get rolling here. So first thing, we want to introduce everyone to like what it is, so you can actually see how you access it, see the features and functionality that it has, so because it's also not just a place to kind of like us to collect your ideas, but we actually give information back to you. And I think it's important that you understand that. So first off here, what is the Idea Bank? Well, it's really designed for us to work with you on co-designing our product out, right? We want that with this feature request from you. It's not a support portal. It's not like a thing that we look at every day and respond back to you in real time, like everything, like no support tickets. It's for those things that you think about where you're like, you know what? This doesn't exist yet in the product. It's an idea. Let's put it in here. Let's get it in here, right? And then the good thing about this is that all of your peers can now see that idea. Everyone who is actually in the Idea Bank can see that idea, and that's really what it's used for. We do take a good look at it. The product's looking at it every day. What we generally do is we generally respond about once a month to things in there as we have releases and things come out. So you'll see activity from us about once a month on things. But there's a lot of moving parts behind the scene from a product standpoint to working with development, estimates, solutioning out, like design sessions, all these things that happen behind the scenes.
Matt, can I make a point on that as well?
Yes, absolutely.
It's not just the product team at ARCOS that interacts with the Idea Bank. So you'll see questions. I do it all the time. Some of you have seen me ask you questions on the Idea Bank. I vote for your ideas all the time.
Yeah.
The support team, I know, is interacting with the Idea Bank. So if they get a ticket in, sometimes a ticket you're not sure, what is this, a feature request, a question, you're not sure? sometimes those end up in the idea bank, and when they do, support interacts with you on that idea bank entry.
Yep.
The other important point is you're interacting with each other in the idea bank.
Absolutely.
And that's a huge part of it.
Yeah, that feedback back and that communication mechanism, and I'll show you some of that in here as well. The other thing is it's not hard to access. So when you think about it, when you actually log in our product under your little username in that kind of top right-hand corner of our product, if you click on that, you'll see that at the very bottom, I think it is in the menu system, it will say Idea Bank. You click on that, you go there. Now, it will require a username and password that it's not the same kind of setup as your Oscar username or password or the actual product itself, but it's not hard. Once you're in, and it's not like it's like highly secure because we want it to be kind of pseudo-public for our users, right? That's really the goal of this thing here. With that said, if you do have a very specific custom request that is just for your company, don't put it there, right? Go through your account managers or the other side for anything that would be very specific for your company. But we are trying to solve more what I call general problems, really focusing on what the problems are to come up with the solutions that can impact all of you, which is a really, really key thing for us. Now, in terms of the actual Idea Bank, this is like the homepage of the Idea Bank, and it's actually really easy to use. One of the things I'd recommend is at the very top, and you'll kind of see like red bars as I click through here, very top is a search, right? That search is really good contextual search. If you have an idea and you're thinking about it, you can add it in there and see, or just do a search to see if it already exists. It may already exist. If it already exists, vote on it or add a comment or something like that. The other thing too is if you want to add a new post, there's a new post button, and you'll see that button throughout the Idea Bank, and you just click new post and it's there. If you don't see that button, you're not logged in. So some people are like, hey, I don't see the button. Well, you're not logged in here. That's the way you can see the button, okay? The other thing is we do also have it broken out by product line right now. So you can actually click on individual products to see changes specific to that product line. But we also are open to even like general suggestions or different requests and changing the structure if we need to. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. We've got some ideas about that piece here. Now, in terms of like an actual new post, I want to walk through this because I want to make sure you understand what this looks like. When you click on new post, this is the screen you see like on the left-hand side. And on the left-hand side, all you have to do is just add like a description about what that post is, and you can add a little context about it and just hit save and you're done, right? Choose the product that it's associated with, hit done, and that's all you have to do. So it should take you like 2 seconds to do. It was not real complex. I will say though, you'll notice on the right-hand side when it says new post right there, when you type in that header field, what's called that header field, the prior suggestions start popping up based upon the words you're typing in. And the whole goal there is to show you, if you don't do a search beforehand to see if your idea is in there, when you go to create, they're trying to show you suggestions that kind of match your words to see if something was prior entered. If it was prior entered, all you have to do on that drop-down list is click on that item, and it will take you right there and vote on it or comment or do whatever you need to. If you don't see it, there is a skip and continue button. Just click that skip and continue button, and you can save the items out. Right? So that's an important piece of this here. Now, this is kind of this right here is an example of the ideas added for one product, which is Resource Assist here. So what you can actually do is if you click on an individual product and go into an individual product, there's a few things. You'll see that there's a new post button up there. There's also the follow button. The follow button, literally, when you click on the follow button at the product level, anytime something is added in there, anytime a status changes, something's completed and planned, a comment's added on any of those items, you will receive an email back to your inbox, right, to keep you updated on all of the changes for that product. And what I will say is I'll show you another part, like we are actively changing that from a product standpoint, those statuses and things like that, commenting, throwing out questions, doing a bunch of activities like that. So that's a good way to kind of keep up with what changes we're making, right? And those changes are small and large changes. So this isn't just where we throw small changes, but also large changes in here. Okay, another thing that's important here is that you can also, and I'll kind of go back and show that again. Notice where the red bar is along the top. You can also filter and sort, and that's one of the most important things here. If you want to filter, on the right-hand side where it says like last updated, I could change that sort option, and that sort option I can see, what are the most voted items for that product. Right, so I can see that right there, most voted items for that product. You can also filter by what's all the things that have been, like there's a status tag on there on the left-hand side inside that box. You can filter by what are the items that have been completed. And now I can see all those completed items for that product. And you can go through that list. So I can see last updated versus completed, filter and sort by those, and see all that information I need, in context here. The other thing too, and like I said, product is in here. We are in here about, we're looking at it daily, but we're in here about a month updating statuses, doing things like that. Every month we're doing that. And the statuses changes are important because that's where you can get information about what we're actually doing. What's planned, what's started, what's completed, all those types of things. We're giving that back to you. And again, if you like that product, you'll see all those changes in here. Okay. Next thing here, this is what an individual view of a single item looks like right here. So I think the important thing here about this, there's a few things. Number one, look at the little thumbs up, thumbs down here. If there's something you like, give it the thumbs up, right? That thumbs up, we actually look at that. That's how we can see things rise to the top here, and we know what changes are important to the majority of you. The other thing too I'll say is remember, you all are kind of networked together. You all kind of know each other now. Tell everyone at your company to use this, every user. We don't care who. I forgot to mention that even up front here. Field tech on, we don't care. Tell them to like something when you add it. Call a company who's a friend of yours, a peer of yours at another company and say, hey, I added this idea. What do you think about it? Or shoot them an email. Send them the link, right? If you really want that idea to be done, have people vote on that idea, including your peers at other companies or people who actually work for your company here.
That's a great point. If you're an ARCOS administrator for your company and you've got a stakeholding group, stakeholding audience, maybe you've got a steering committee for ARCOS, all those folks should be in here. They should have a login.
That's a great point.
And because their ideas are super valuable, and you can also, follow their ideas and see if those get comments, and it's a really great method of centralizing feedback. The other point is that this voting feature, we use it within ARCOS too. So we have a conversation within ARCOS and say, hey, I put in an idea for the product team. Vote for it. And everybody, goes out in chat, please vote for my idea. So use your connections, the connections you built here at conference. Mm-hmm. Say, hey, reach out and say, hey, please vote for my idea. We want to get this done.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And there's things we see creep up to the top that we'd have no idea about, to begin with, which is fantastic. So not only can you actually vote for it, give the thumbs up or thumbs down, but there's several other things you can do. If you don't want to follow the whole product, if you follow the entire product, you may get some emails coming through, like automated messages, because there's some activity in there now, so any new requests and so on. You don't have to do that. If you come in, there's an actual topic, a single topic you like, you can just actually follow it there by clicking on the follow button, right? If you want to unfollow it, go in there again, make sure you're logged in. It will say following, click on it, it turns to follow then, is what it turns to. So that's how that works. The other thing too is you can share right from there. If you click on share, I believe the email pops up. But one of the most important things, and we actually see a lot of people doing that, is really the new reply button. And that new reply is where that really kind of that social aspect of it comes into play, where we get feedback from many of you. And a good example was the Edge browser support. A lot of comments in there, a lot of feedback between people. First D is a good example that I showed on Monday. A really big blurb of contextual help and us knowing what change to make, what problem to solve. And what I will say is when you think about the idea bank in terms of like replies, feel free to answer others, right? This is a tool for all of you as well. If you know that there's a solution that already exists for someone out there, go in there and tell the person, hey, this is how we're doing it. That's perfectly fine. We still may see it and make a change in some way, but you have complete autonomy to do that type of thing. So just be nice though. We do kind of monitor. If you really don't like anyone, don't be be in there saying bad things about them. It's hard to do. No, I'm joking. It's easy to do. So that is really the feature functionality of Idea Bank as a whole. Not hard to use at all. It's made to be very fast, very quick. Get your ideas in there. Okay, so again, this is kind of I'm gonna restate this like 90 times, and I told you guys you'd be tired of me at the end of this, but we want the ideas from you. We really do want your problem statements. It's fine on the Idea Bank to say, hey, we would love the blue button in the upper right-hand corner or something like that. What we really love, though, is if you just add in there what it is, a title, but then if you tell us what the problem statement is, because what we can do is we can take that problem statement and then figure out what are all the solutions for that, right? And then once we kind of figure out the solutions, we can pick the best solution then and even kind of throw it back to you and say, hey, what do you think about this? And we've done that many times actually in the Idea Bank here. So what we're going to do is look at some examples here. And this is an example of like call out. And again, this is something that was awesome actually. Like the top rated call out actually was from last year's virtual conference, the Copy Security Group. And the person is here who actually said that. Who is that actually? I can't, yeah. Dominion Energy, I'm sorry, what, in your name? Mark Schiffler, yeah. So he actually was like, literally, oh, PJ, you're running over there.
Good job, PJ.
He's doing work, yeah. You can just say your name and where you're from so everyone can hear. Yeah, so Mark from Dominion Energy, right? And so we were on the virtual conference last year, and I literally said to everyone, thinking that no one would answer, hey, does anyone have a good idea? Mark threw that idea out as the very first idea, and while we were on that, people went there and voted for it literally at that virtual conference, and that idea got done, right? Like, very first idea got done, most likes on it. So it actually is happening. You know, and that's, yeah, Mark, and yeah, here, yeah, this is the idea, and actually Mark even commented on it, you can see. So Danny had a comment, you know, and then Mark came in here, and Mark actually had a comment on it that this is correct, right? So change got done because Mark actually drove that change. So we love seeing that stuff. And again, the other thing I will say is, and I want to kind of restate this as well, this is not just about closed items, like, hey, product got these done, or ARCOS got these delivered here. This is also about giving you guys some insight into like what's coming up here, right? Because, you know, here's the tough thing about the conference itself, and you guys probably all are aware of this. At ARCOS, we literally make hundreds of changes to our products a year, probably even thousands when you include like everything that we do. We can't show you all those 1,000 changes that we do, right? So we've got to pick kind of the biggest impact ones for you. But if you want to see even small changes, big changes, where they are status-wise, you know, we do set statuses from a product team standpoint, like every month again, right? We don't just mark them as completed, but we come in here under review. Is it planned? Is it actually started? And if you do like that item, then again, you'll get that email, that automated email that says, hey, it's started or it's planned, you know, or it's complete, right? So the status is very important, you know, in this way here. Yeah, and you can see in this example here, this is that same item, that copy security group. Danny commented, Mark came in here and actually added a comment as well. And then we had Kevin come in here. Kevin's the product manager on call out here. And every step of the way, every time he changed the status, you know, you actually see that in context there. And then he added a comment, you know, sizing complete, moving it to planned, trying to give everyone updates. And then he even put the release in there, scheduled for 21.38 release, right, and then completed. So you see those on that chain on everything that we do, which is vastly important here. Okay. Any questions about the idea bank itself, the features, functionality of the idea bank at this point? Okay. We should have brought free drinks.
We should
have. Get them talking a little more, man.
I know.
Yeah. I'm going to pass the baton to Bill here and let Bill go ahead.
Yeah, so this is a little, call this the encouragement slide. So for all the utility folks in the room, we ran some numbers in terms of the number of participants by company, and that's the graphic you see there. So, you know, our airline customers are really beating the pants off the utility. So let's get the utility numbers up and let's make this graphic look different next year.
Yeah,
so.
Why are airlines beating you guys?
I know.
What is going on? Actually, you know what we should do? Jason, can you do me a favor, Jason? Can you go to the idea bank and see who's the top contributor? And we'll come back to you. We'll name some names.
We'll name names.
Yeah, we'll name names of who the
names.
top contributors are. And if they're not in this room, shame on everyone else.
Yep, they may go on social media too.
PJ, get ready to bring the mic to him here in a second. Do you have it, Jason? Oh, Jason's got names. Let's name names. Who are the top 5 contributors? Oh, Nikki beat him. Oh no, Nikki. PJ, what happened, man? What happened here? Oh, you're not on mic. Turn the mic on, man.
Kevin Dew, I believe he's an airline person.
Yep.
Probably
Oh no.
how they got up
Oh
there.
no.
Next is Vanessa Evanson.
Also airline. Yeah.
Jim Heller, who is from Duke.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go, Duke Energy.
Travis Denny, who is an internal ARCOS person. And Sarah Ledger, who works in our support group. So that makes sense.
So that's, you know, that's some tough love to hear,
Yeah.
you know, on Wednesday morning. So, come on. Free virtual drinks, yeah.
That's what we need,
Great
man.
idea.
Yeah.
I don't know, I've had my
PJ.
fill of virtual happy hours over the last 2 years. I don't want to do that anymore.
You guys do not want to represent one of the top 5. In third place, not even like first. If it's first, it'd be like, you know.
Yeah.
You know, what are you going to do here? Good peer pressure slide, by the way.
But this slide just shows the level of activity. I don't know, Matt, you.
Yeah, and I mean, so we can actually see that level of activity, and we want to kind of see it going up. And one of the things that's amazing is there have been 387 topics added as a whole. Most of them, I guess, by airlines. No, actually, a lot of them have been by utilities. A lot of great things. But here's the thing that we're happier about in terms of this. The interaction about those comments have been amazing, so you can really see some of the ones that actually do matter more. And I mean, when you look at this here, out of those 387 topics, there's 329 comments, which are amazing. Those are not just status changes, those are actual comments back. But even just as important here, 1,055 votes, right? So it is becoming kind of that social aspect of it that's important with all of you from a peer sharing standpoint, sharing ideas and also voting ideas. That's the most important thing. So next year, I'd love to see that number. I'd love to see like 1 million votes. Right, go tell your entire company and everyone to go vote on stuff.
So we thought we'd pivot to a live idea bank session. As we've mentioned, many of you have been contributing over the last year, and we've gotten a dozen or so, maybe 15, 20 over the last 2 to 3 days. We're going to highlight a few of those here. The way we're going to do it is I've tried to organize things around a few key, what I called hypotheses or concepts. And you've heard us mention a lot of those from the stage this week. So for example, like external resource exchanges, that's a theme that we're gonna go through first. So some of those basic themes, I've tried to organize your feedback in those themes. I did that really mostly for Bruce. I gave Bruce a headache every year because I would sit up here and just flip through Post-it notes, and it broke Bruce's brain. Like, you can't have a presentation where you just flip through Post-it notes. But
yeah, you heard it, Bruce.
So
we should have done that one last time.
I kind of liked it. But,
yeah, we should have done that one last time.
That's
just for Bruce.
That's right. He would have fallen out of his chair. But we're going to organize it. It's going to be a little disorganized though, because we included some of the stuff that we heard hot off the presses from your lips to the slide that haven't made Idea Bank yet. But when we show those slides, please remember, if this is yours, get it entered, because we want to see other people vote on your ideas. So the first major hypothesis we want to talk about is the idea that ARCOS can provide a one-stop shop for managing all your external resources, and that could become an ecosystem that would help you and your companies better predict resource needs, restore service faster, and control costs. One big idea underneath that hypothesis is the concept of potential 811 integration or partnership. And Matt came from that industry. I don't know, you want to say a few things?
Yeah, I will. And actually, I've actually heard this at this industry. So Ann and I were talking, and she talked about damage prevention. We've talked to a lot of damage prevention companies in the past. Never formalized any type of relationship, right? But they do get different types of tickets that come in from an 811 standpoint, like damage tickets. So the question is, like, if a damage ticket comes in, it truly did cause a damage, what's that process look like for all of you, and should that somehow lead to a call out potentially, right? We don't know the answer to that, but we're actually asking the community. So any insight or thoughts about, how many of you actually do anything with damage prevention at all or have insight into that? So we've got some people here. We're gonna force you to say something then, because you raised your hand for, oh no, who's gonna win? Oh, I think Nikki got there. It was in front. PJ, what's going on, man? Nikki is really fast. My God, Nikki, did you run track, Nikki? Man, yeah. So is it inside of your department, or where's damage prevention sit for you?
No, it sits inside my department.
Okay, and then do you guys have any type of integration right now with ARCOS between your?
Is that Shad from Dominion?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, we don't have integration with ARCOS or a call-out system. We bring situational awareness through our regional operating center if we have a cut bulk feeder, or we have a damage, or we cause damage to another utility. They'll manually make a call or send a text message to the program manager that manages that damage prevention.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting.
It's a good idea, though.
Yeah. And when you say it's a good idea, what would we do then to make that, to strengthen it?
Well, you could automate it, I guess, if you have a work code type associated with causing a damage or receiving a damage that could automate a call out.
Gotcha.
One of the things that's interesting for predictive analytics would be looking at the cause codes and who causes damage. You've been involved in the industry.
Yeah.
And look at the companies that are associated with those damages.
Yeah, you're talking about like excavators, like the most damaging excavator or something like that?
Yep.
That's actually
Yeah, that is interesting.
No, that is, yeah, definitely. It's a good idea as well.
That's actually a great, I'm looking at the next slide here. That's a great segue maybe to this.
One question on that. Do you track that in your damage assessment? Like the cause then and who?
Yes.
Okay, so you do track that?
Yeah, we do that.
Okay, that's interesting as well, definitely. Just raise your hand high too. I know everyone had a lot of free drinks last night, but how many people in here damage prevention is inside of your department? And raise your hand real high just so we can kind of see.
A couple.
So it looks like a couple, so it doesn't look real prevalent at all. Okay. Yeah, just curious about that.
This next one is Tico. I know this is Ronnie Crossan. She couldn't make it, I think, but Tico is, I think, here. Is that right? Over here? Okay, PJ, you're going to win that race.
Yeah.
Oh.
PJ, your first one, man, out of like 10. Good job.
Yeah, so this, I think, links back to that what we were just talking about from Chad there, the idea of having contractor credentials, could be history, performance history, and things like that within Resource Assist or within the ecosystem. But I don't know if, is it Luke has the mic or Kimberly, but.
Yeah, I've got
involved
it.
with
Luke Drews of Tampa Electric Company. It has now become a requirement in our company that anybody that's working on site will be in ISN networks and have a current A or B rating. So we'd like that on our crew panel board to be shown up there, and the status change, when it actually happens. It'd be nice for there be a link with ISN Networld, and that way when we come in that day, and quite often with contractors, the biggest challenge we have is their insurance information expires. And they go from an A rating to an F rating automatically, and it would be nice to have that indication when it happens. It'd really be nice to have it like weeks before it happens so we can contact that contractor, make sure they get that insurance certificate, uploaded to the system. That way they continue to have an A or B rating.
Yeah, that seems really important. How about anybody else have a rating system? Maybe anybody else use this ISN network ratings? A-B ratings?
Or any other ones.
Or any one other ones?
Yeah, any other rating system for contractors.
If we could do an integration with a partner like that and bring that in.
Yeah, we've got one right here.
Yeah, it's Noah from Black Hills. We have qualifications for them for being able to do switching on our system. Some of them can, some of them can't. So and it expires after 2 years. It'd be nice to have something that would track that other than just a manual process.
Gotcha. PJ.
Great.
Or Nikki, whoever gets there first.
Hi, Jen Potter from SDG&E. I was thinking this could be something that we could also use to tie into CDLs for our linemen. Make sure that they get their CDLs as well as their medical information. And it would give us that warning a month or so ahead of time, 2 months ahead of time, whatever we set it to, so that they can get their medical ahead, they can get their appointments to go ahead and get their updated licensing.
You know what I like about that? That's a perfect example of something you could comment on that, and so we know that idea because that's a great idea, idea.
Yeah,
Luke, how often, and one quick question, Luke, how often does, oh God, we're just gonna be a race, who's gonna get there? How often does ISN Networld update their, like, is it like?
Ooh, I got double trouble here.
Someone's gonna get hit on either side of the face with 2 mics. That's what's gonna happen. It's really safe.
I was paying attention to those that were running at me, so would you
missed the
repeat the
entire
question, please?
Luke, are you kidding me? You got that distracted? Safety first, I was gonna say. I thought that, how often does ISN Networld update the rating? Is it like real time, like insurance expires and like next dates?
It's real time, and
It's
what
real
we're
time.
finding out in the industry is it's very much like ARCOS in many ways. The contractors that are ISN Networld certified that have an A or B rating get opportunities to bid on jobs that others don't. So it's an opportunity for them to get work. Same thing as it is in RA.
That's interesting.
They're going to be in the system. They're qualified candidates. They have all their information there. So it's much easier for us to qualify them as a contractor on our system and actually bid work to them.
Gotcha. Okay, great. That's helpful.
And if you want to keep that mic, next item I think was also a TICO idea, show IOU resources versus non-IOU resources. I put that in here. I don't know if I grasped the full kind of breadth of why is that important and where specifically you're talking about.
Well, what we're talking about more or less is in our perspective and crew manager. We want to track our TICO crews on one perspective and our contractors on another perspective, along with vacation management. We have 3 70-inch monitors in our building, and we find value in all that. So we're really coming to the position in our company that we're going to treat contractors no differently than we do Tampa Electric, crews, And it's almost going to be a mirror image of requirements, safety audits, supervision in the field. So, I think we're starting to make that transition. We used to treat contractors very differently than Tampa Electric crews. That's no longer the same. That's no longer going to happen going forward.
Gotcha.
Thanks.
Is anyone else doing that right now? Like in crew manager? We've got a hand here. Who's going to get there first? Oh, PJ's already at one. I don't know. Who's up? What happened to Nikki? Did you fall asleep, Nikki? No. Oh, no, you're in the back. He held onto the mic. He was sandbagging you, Nikki. He wanted to give you the mic back so PJ would win.
Yeah, Justin Hucker from Dominion Energy. I think we're currently doing that. As the crews are inputted into crew manager, we give them a specific crew type. So then we can also filter group them either by on-system contractor, off-system contractor, mutual aid. We can get even gradual to patrol because a lot of our reports, we might just want to see buckets for contractors on-system or off-system. But we just designate that through the import process, or we have a API which drives all the crew types for our local crews as well prior to the storms. When we run our web page, it automatically inputs all the crew types for the crews that we already have pre-built. So.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that is great, yeah.
That's excellent.
Definitely.
That's a great use of both crew manager and the API. Mm-hmm. That's huge. Okay. This next one, Matt brought it up to me, and I was like, oh, that's great feedback. Matt, who said that? We don't remember who said it, I don't think, but yeah, I think we heard it in a session. This was really referring to the search function in Resource Assist. We just don't even have time to research the contractors that we could reach out to. Like maybe, we've got a few names that people we work with, but it'd be great to see kind of a bigger Rolodex.
Yeah, exactly. And when I heard that comment, I don't remember who it was. I was sitting in the back, and it was someone in front of me, so I couldn't see the name. But it was like my mind went crazy on this one, because if you guys don't know who the contractors even are, for us, then it's like, do we just set up some type of way that we can just capture who they are? Have a map of the United States or a table with broken out by state who they are, some contextual information about them that they come in, sign up, and you guys can just see who they are. So I don't know who said this comment, but it was in one of the sessions. Does anyone remember? Let's call that person out, if we can. I don't know. Or let me rephrase here. Would this be helpful for anyone then? Like if there was just a list of contractors around the entire nation, utility contractors around the entire nation?
Or the ability to improve the search.
Yeah, or ability to improve
Resource
search.
Assist. So you could do a more targeted search.
Or how do you find your contractors today? Let's just start there. How do you find them today?
Just a spreadsheet?
Oh, you just almost got tackled from behind. You don't know how close you were. You literally have no idea. How do you get the information that goes in that spreadsheet?
It's a manual process. I'm not the expert when it comes to going through the credentials and going through the criteria with those folks, but we keep it in a spreadsheet and we evaluate them and we evaluate their performance each storm so that we have something to go by when we're going through and picking them, and we know where they're located, where their crew quarters is.
And then how do you update that spreadsheet?
It's just a manual entry.
Okay. Is everyone else going to have that same process? Or Bill, I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, would it be interesting for others, you heard what Dominion's doing. Would it be interesting for others in the room to know how Dominion rated a contractor? Interesting, I see a yes from SDG&E. So the idea of kind of that shared rating system, so you'd be really curious to find out they rated a contractor high or low?
So through a lot of the mutual assistance activities that have happened over the last decade, depending on the incident, you've got some contractors that show up that want to play basketball and go drinking, and others that are very dedicated to restoring customers. And from another utility, you'd never know what that performance rating is. And there's been several companies that have sent a group of contractors home for misbehaving. So being able to hear from our peers that success rate, and that's also, if you don't know, part of the FEMA process, where you're actually rating different fire agencies that show up on a fire conflagration. There's a form for that in ICS and FEMA. So if you guys could add that, it certainly would make it more visible, those who are actually performing and those that may not be performing as well.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah, because that comparison, I assume, happens already today, but it's informal or one-on-one, not not in the system anyway.
Oh,
The
PJ,
difficult-
Mike, run back over.
Reps, repeat reps, PJ.
Yes.
The difficulty is when the proverbial fecal matter hits the oscillating device.
I like the way you said that.
You don't have a choice sometimes, right?
Yeah.
You need bodies and buckets, and so sometimes you don't have a choice. But if you're doing your diligence and your homework ahead of time, you should be doing that as a pre-planning activity for when you have that need, so you aren't behind that 8 ball, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The one thing you're missing there is those people are really fun at a conference. That first group of people that you kick out, right? They'd be fun to have here. You know, little partiers, right? Little partiers. What about even like if there's a list of contractors that could help everyone? I mean, how do you know who to contact at like another utility if you need additional resources from them right now? That's all set up in the RMAGs. Okay, yeah, it's in the RMAGs.
Nikki's going to beat you on this.
Yep.
There's another one.
It's all set up through the EEI, RMAGs, and
Yeah, gotcha.
APPA and RECA, and
Yeah.
those mutual assistance agreements already exist. The processes, the playbooks, all that is in writing,
Gotcha.
right? And they do exercises every year.
Yeah, Dean does help with Eversource. So unfortunately, I don't think there's a big pool of resources that are just available out there that aren't working. So most of them work for another utility. Through the mutual aid process, they have to be released. But what would be helpful if you had the contact information for their home base. So a lot of times
Yeah.
we get the operational contact that's going to come and work with us. But we need the point of contact of who's going to do their invoicing, who does their billing. So we can go through our procurement process in the background. And a lot of times that takes a lot of time to reconcile after the event. So it would be helpful to have, you know, who's the home base point of contact for these.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
That's a
Thank
great
you.
idea for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Next idea we had was including the ETA from SMART and crew manager. I think what this means is, again, the fecal matter and the oscillating device, and you can, paint your own picture. And you've got crew manager managing an event, and you've got convoys coming in from all points of the map. And you could show ETAs at maybe a convoy level or an individual crew level based on when they're slated to arrive. I think I got that right, but if I don't, correct me. And who said that? Oh, I heard clapping. That's excellent.
Yeah, we have a clap right there. I think that was in like AEP's session. I think when you were
Okay.
like when AEP was presenting, but I don't remember. Oh yeah. That's right. Yeah, that's it. PJ won. Good job, PJ.
No, yeah. So when we manage our crews, as they're coming in, it'd be nice to have an ETA that drives the a value and choose to select where I want to put it. At Dominion, we have 2 ETAs. So we have an ETA to the processing center, so the processing center can see what's coming sooner than later. I would probably drive that ETA to that processing center, not the work location, because then when they're managing when they're going to be at the work location, it's a separate ETA altogether. So if we
Gotcha.
could also choose where that attribute is designated, would be awesome as well.
It's another good thing as well.
great.
You know how to get that idea done?
Yeah, it's put in the idea bank.
We got it.
If you think about
I like that
COVID
idea.
and the processing and staging centers, how important it was to manage those ETAs with people coming in to these processing centers,
Yeah.
that's where it would be really important. You might not want everybody showing up at the same time
Yeah.
if the processing centers are loaded up.
Great idea. Didn't even
it
think
is.
about that. That's a good example of like a good problem statement right there.
Yeah.
Right, because that's a great example where we can take that and solve the problem in different ways.
We did a lot of phone
Yeah.
calls and told them to stay back at Cracker Barrel on
Yeah.
exit 76 or whatever, just to keep them from all showing up at the same time.
Are those practices going to continue as COVID eases up, as it continues to ease up here? Or?
Yeah, it could.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's different reasons to have them coming in.
And
at
it's just
different
traffic
times.
control, right? You're just
Yeah,
playing.
exactly.
And they got to eat, and if
They
they
got-
haven't
yeah.
eaten, have them eat before they get there and
Yeah.
not show up all at the same time.
It's a great idea. Great idea.
Great idea. Great. Well, this next idea was, I asked Matt before we did this presentation, Matt, I've got some crazy ideas. How nuts do you want me to get?
Let's
Go
do it.
Go nuts.
I was like, have you seen this crowd?
Yeah.
We're
let's
crazy.
Go nuts.
Man. Let's do this.
So, another big idea would be providing some additional services. So not only a software solution for you to collaborate and deploy your resources more intelligently, but potentially ARCOS or partners that we may have being able to provide some additional services. So some ideas here might be a invoice management service run by ARCOS, or a invoice reconciliation service. I don't know, but I've heard a lot how troublesome that is, and this sort of stack of paper that sits on folks' desks. Jim Nowak used to say he could hide behind the stack of post-storm receipts and invoice reconciliations he had to go through. Any interest in that? Or do you use the service already?
Yeah, how do you do it?
Yeah,
Be
is
the
it
question.
all internal staff members?
What is it? Oh, no, here
So
goes.
we had Ann from SDG&E.
I was making a joke that you should use the mutual assistance for Puerto Rico as your test case because however many years later, we're still dealing with the invoicing from Puerto Rico.
Yeah, great point.
So I think that means it's all manual,
Yeah,
is what that means, right?
Yeah.
So there's people in Puerto Rico standing behind a
Yeah.
stack of receipts right now that high. How do you do that, though, today? Manual, all manual then. Okay. And I think, so this one might be a hand raiser question, right? Raise your hand if you're doing that manual today. And again, don't do a half hand, do a full arm up so we can see.
One, two,
So quite a few people actually
Yep.
have that problem then. Quite a few here.
okay.
Yeah, interesting.
Thanks. You know, we have this kind of the big idea, put the big idea title up there. As more and more of you are using things like Crew Manager, Smart, RA to help you manage your resources during events, the one concept, one big idea we've had is if we get a sort of data standard across the industry that then we can apply to others and say, hey, you know, my ARCOS data for is ready for invoice certification. You know, if we could have that blue stamp of approval or good housekeeping stamp of approval, perhaps if we got to the point where it's trusted enough, perhaps that could speed things up, right? And maybe shorten that painful process, like the Puerto Rico process, perhaps. Again, we're not there yet, but kind of big idea of, hey, this is not a ARCOS invention of good data. This is an industry collaborated idea of good data, and everybody's participated in it.
We got a question.
No, that's a great idea, Bill, and I was just going to add that it could also help get the contractors to play ball with some of those standards if it's going to help them get paid significantly faster.
That's a good point.
Yep.
Yeah, very good point.
Another right here.
I wouldn't stop at contractors and mutual assistance, right? When we have an incident, a million times the PUC's saying, what were the total cost of that? If we're going after it in a rate case, we've got to be able to cover those costs. And instead of having to do that, again, manually, even for our internal resources, it would be helpful, right? Because a lot of us have veg crews that are outside the company that we're trying, but that isn't mutual assistance. So don't stop at that one category. If you're going to do it, make it financial reconciliation for whatever, right?
No, that's a good point.
No, that's a great idea.
Did you guys read that?
Does that resonate with anyone else?
Yeah, we're writing these down, by the way. That's fantastic.
I hope we're writing them down.
We are.
Okay.
The table here's got it. The table here's got it. Yeah, Idea Bank. Yeah, we're writing them down just to force you guys eventually to go to the Idea Bank here. I think we had a question over here. PJ, you were taking bad strategic angles, man. No, I'm joking.
So Avangrid doesn't use Smart, but I was with Central Hudson. They had Smart. They used it fairly well, even for DMO. A lot of their contractor billing for mutual aid, they had pretty precise data for when those crews got back to their home location through the Smart application.
Yeah,
that's a great point.
Also for those incoming crews to stage them appropriately, those proximity alerts worked very well. If you set it at 50 miles, that it sends out that email notification that the contractor is 50 miles away, somebody will be alerted to say, hey, they're about an hour, call them and tell them to stage off of exit 12.
Yeah, yeah. Someone said that they're writing their Smart into contracts. Did you do that there at the prior company? So you did, okay. Yeah, that's interesting.
That's great.
Quick question, does the notification just pop up when you're in Smart for the proximity, or does it come over to Crew Manager instead of having to flip back and forth? It goes to your email. Okay.
Yeah.
Can it pop up in front of you in the application instead of me having to leave to get to my email?
That's a great idea bank
That was a
entry right
great
there.
Idea Bank item, yeah. You should add that to Idea Bank. That's another great one.
Seriously, that's a
Yeah.
theme I've heard since starting ARCOS. Everybody's fighting with, like, what am I paying attention to? Everybody's buried in emails, and then it transitioned to text, and now it's mobile app push notifications and the alerting bell in your app, but there's so many things. I think email's making a comeback. It'd be interesting to hear from all of you in an Idea Bank entry, where do you prefer to receive updates? Is that a personal thing?
Yeah.
Is that a, hey, I'm Bill, and I like my updates via text, and Matt likes his on a
Email.
mobile app.
Yeah, whatever,
Something
yeah.
like that, yeah. That's a great point. Next big idea, on the same theme, we talked about Resource Assist potentially integrating with RampUp. Again, it doesn't play the same game as RampUp, but they definitely touch in terms of business processes, so perhaps integrating those. If we did that, rosters could flow to and from that high-level allocation, equitable allocation of resources within RampUp. Storm billing built to an EEI standard, so that's a concept we were tossing around that, it could either be an ARCOS community standard that everybody collaborates around, but potentially we could get APPA or NRECA or EEI to collaborate on kind of good housekeeping seal of approval for data standards and invoicing standards. Anybody done any work on that, or maybe at state level, state standards? Okay. Yeah, a little bit of work?
There's some complexity there.
Okay.
So one of the things we ran into after Sandy in the West was we didn't have an RMAG. We had the WRMA agreement, which was the utilities already had through WEI an agreement.
Okay.
But we included our munis and our co-ops and in everything we did in that agreement. And when we approached EEI with that, they were like, no, it's IOUs only.
Oh, yeah.
And so I just would put out for you that there is going to be some complexity because some RMAGs include other RMAGs, only do IOUs, and so there's a blend of things there that may make that challenging, and the agencies can submit for FEMA reimbursement where the IOUs potentially can go through rate case or some other type of recovery, storm fund, set-asides or whatever.
Okay.
So there's some complexity in there, Bill.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's a great job for Jim Nowak, Jim. Next item, this was another question. I don't think we figured out who this came from. Another kind of note we had written down, but put the use and adoption of smart in the contractor contracts. Oh, no, that came up already.
That came, yeah. that came
Dominion's
up.
doing that now, right?
Yeah,
Avangrid? No? Okay. All right, somebody said it.
yeah.
AEP.
So
okay.
a few people
Oh,
are
Rob.
actually doing, yeah.
Rob from AEP confirmed AEP does that today. So great idea, right? You've got a piece of technology, you want to make sure the adoption is super high, and so you might as well write it in the contract.
Do you enforce that if they don't use it then? You do? Okay, yeah. That's interesting. Okay.
That's great. So the Idea Bank doesn't necessarily need to be just for product features, new modules, new products, new services. It could be for things like this. So best practice library. Some of you have brought up, I wish I had access to my peers in this room and their training or their best practices. I wish we could collaborate on, for example, how we rolled out Crew Manager or how we rolled out Resource Assist. And you've seen presentations like that all week. Mm-hmm. So one idea is for an Idea Bank category being, Matt, keep me honest here, like when you look at Idea Bank, you see like by product.
Exactly, yeah.
You could have one called best practices.
Exactly, best practices.
Library.
Yeah, and I've heard a ton of those throughout the conference, just in some of the presentations from all of you as well. And like every time your peers are up here talking, I see so many heads nodding, like, yes, that's amazing. So that's something that we could throw up on the Idea Bank very easily. And then, the Idea Bank as well, it actually supports documents, it supports PDFs, workflows, images, things like that. It's not just text, right? And you can do that inline or actually attach. So you could come in there and see, like, vote on the best ones and the best practices and make it to the top. So I don't know if that'd be useful to everyone here. So we've got
seeing some nodding heads. That's good.
Some nodding heads here.
Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be even that practical. It could be songs, song ideas, lyrics.
We've already got one songwriter in the room.
That's
right
right.
here. Yeah.
Dance moves.
Yeah, dance moves. I mean, yeah.
How about, this one came in from Stephanie, First Energy, to the Idea Bank, adding a verification step to ensure the number of FTEs is filled in prior to submitting a response. I hope to have Stephanie here to speak to this,
great,
but
yeah.
It's a great idea. This is the next major hypothesis or theme that we wanted to touch on. By just changing a few key features, it could be a new, like I said, a new module, a new function. ARCOS could better serve a wider audience within my company, and we would receive more value from ARCOS. We are here for that. We want to provide much more value. So if we can tweak something, change something a little bit, and suddenly unlock more value within your organization, huge for you and us.
Yeah, a good example of that right now is roster apps, the advanced scheduling feature and functionality we have. Some of you have actually asked us about that for like your customer support department. So that's something that we have now that we could actually talk about as well, because of how they do their shift schedules, things like that. So just think about that as well.
We had some ideas here on the right-hand side, and I don't know if Kevin Crawford is still here. If you are, you may, I don't remember what this was, but incident manager providing a sliding scale of safety functions. Does that look familiar to you? That could be just my writing something down and not remembering.
Yeah, that might be.
That might be what it is. Okay.
Down. I know the other ones, the secure check-in, safety monitoring. Oh, yeah. Yeah, now I know. That piece with the check-in, an incident manager where you're checking in your staff and all of that. As people are responding, you might expect them to not, to be not responding, and you would know where they are and be able to check on them and see where, if there's a problem.
Kind of an are you safe type.
Yeah, an are you safe
type logic
thing. Yeah.
No, that's good. And then employee location and geofencing, we hear that all the time. And I think with employee check-in, that function there, or the are you safe, but also in other instances, with the crews in the field, they've got a lot of GIS, GPS, geo technology in their hands or on the truck or whatever, but you've got a whole team back in the office in the EOC supporting everyone, and the idea to be able to tag them. And obviously based on how events and incidents evolve, you may have a situation where they're the ones that need to be moved, they need to be evacuated, they need to be perhaps helped directly.
Yeah, we actually heard about that, I think, from AEP. I think you guys are doing something on the charge side, like with something like that right now. I can't remember where a user has to check in and then they have to check out, but I can't remember exactly what that was for here. Yeah.
Circuit or station login. Yeah.
Can you explain that? He's got the mic there. Yeah. He's weirdly holding it in front of you.
Yeah, it's really just, I think every utility does it as far as logging on a circuit if you're in or near the primary, so it's a good location. But obviously Smart and Crew Manager, you can now see where everybody's at on that circuit also, which is
very true,
added benefit. But but also for station.
Remember that point. We're going to, I think, come back to that in a minute,
yeah.
in terms of that logging onto a circuit. This next, we had another? Okay.
Another one?
This next one, again, we hope to have Jackson from Con Ed. I don't think Con Ed made it this time, but another great feature in this area of getting more usage and more parts of the business. ARCOS has survey type callouts, so that's a callout that's not necessarily asking, it's not an activation to come to work. It's not a request for overtime hours. It's a survey, right? And many of you use that in an event or in a blue sky day. Con Ed made extensive use of it during COVID, so their usage of our sort of survey information gathering within ARCOS just spiked during COVID throughout. And so you can see Jackson asking to add SMS surveys, 1, 2, 3, 4, answer your survey questions for emergency management personnel to better keep track of that. Next item, Joel Cuellar from AP Texas. I said, I'm going to call on you. And he said, I'm going to be gone. So somebody else from AP maybe can take this ball. This was from a beach demo that Steve was doing. I don't know if you all knew this, but I stumbled upon the fact that Steve had some beach demos going on. So I decided to tag along just to
They're
make sure they
highly
weren't.
recommended. Beach demos are highly recommended.
That's right.
Get a little sand on the keyboard, but it's fine.
I wanted to make sure there weren't more free drinks out
Exactly.
on the beach. So I tagged along, and he shared a use case which seemed huge, perhaps something that many of your current systems already do today, and maybe you've got a firm handle on it, but maybe not. The idea was, if a first responder takes a repair job, goes out and inspects the work, and it turns out to be too complex, and it ends up actually going to contractors, not your internal staff, that then the links weren't super strong between those two activities. It was better when it was, AEP to AEP handoff, I think, but when that repair work went to a contract crew, if they could tie those things more closely together, and maybe Mobile Workbench could help you do that, he could basically shift cost from cost and hours from the as-built work for that contract crew from O&M to capital. And he said, my rough math just in the Laredo area for him was 9,000 hours per year of shifting from O&M to capital. So just curious if anybody else has tackled that. Maybe you do it great today, maybe not. Grant County may do something like that with I think sometimes you guys will trigger another, from one Mobile Workbench ticket, you'll trigger another Mobile Workbench ticket when they're out in the field. Is that right? Do I have that right? No? Maybe? Okay. Anybody else have this problem? You think this is like a leaking cost area or an opportunity to shift O&M hours into capital hours? Okay. Could be AP specific. I don't know.
Yeah. Good thing is we'll find out.
We'll find out.
It'll be in the feedback form. We'll see your likes.
Here's another one. So I told him I was going to call him on this. Circuit Safe.
Yeah.
So this is an application they have internally, and again, many of you may have applications for this. But the idea would be to link Mobile Workbench to call out just for Circuit Safe functions and ability to notify crews that are on the system, perhaps logged into a certain circuit, as Rob was saying.
The dual commodities?
Gas and electric utilities. Yeah.
We had a situation this year where we had gas crews out working a leak when we had an electrical outage, and that was not known by both parties. So that's something else that, as you're thinking about how you link some of this information for situational awareness, that might be really helpful too, Bill.
Yeah, and I'm sure this wouldn't take the place of your internal safety systems the way you handle it today, but it could be a great backup for that, just another layer of safety. Any other feedback on that? Okay. Another AP item, a standard set of blue sky and storm perspectives on crew manager. I think this may have come out of their presentation.
It did, yeah. You guys were showing that, and there was a lot of feedback actually about that from the AP presentation. So, I mean, and it kind of goes to a bigger question as well, but we'll hold off on that right now. But I mean, do you guys want just standard perspectives out there? Be able to see some standard perspectives? Say again, emphatically yes over here. Yeah.
I think that having templates would be a great way for new customers to be able to hit the ground running with your product. Right now, you have to learn how to create the perspectives. You have to look at what it takes to get to see what you want. But if you had basic different views based on best practices of the companies that already use it, when you present that to a new company, you could say, you don't even have to do all the work. Here it is. You do this, it's ready to go.
Interesting, yeah.
Let me ask you a question. I think we may have this in a later slide, but we were talking about idea bank entries and ways for you to collaborate with each other. What if you could post a perspective to the idea bank and others could see it or vote on it, or maybe download it and use it?
If we had the ability to look at the options that other people are doing and go, yeah, I like that perspective, and choose it, and it would translate to ours, that would be great.
Yeah.
And those of you who are just crew manager pros and you're pumping out pro PJ level perspectives every day, I mean, that's a great way to just share all that great work across the industry.
Yeah.
Become famous.
We've got one in the back as well. Yeah, another one in the back.
Just to jump on that, why not maybe a template bank? Something that, where people knew where they could go for each product.
Yeah. And then we actually do have something a little further, because we're kind of taking that idea, taking it further. We'll get to that in a second as well, but that's, fantastic idea. That idea woke a lot of you up. That's amazing. That's fantastic. So love that.
Yeah. Next question, again, another one. I don't think we heard who this came from, but having the ability to link Mobile Workbench time entries. So if you're using the timesheet functionality in Mobile Workbench to life expectancy of assets and be able to tag the amount of time spent on certain assets, maybe with an integration to an EAM system or something. Did anybody say this?
Yeah, this came
We thought it was interesting enough to
It came out of a mobile workbench, and I can't remember which presentation. I do not know who said it because I was sitting kind of far away from the person. We've got it, right here. Did you say it? Let's hear more. Let's hear some more context about that.
Well, right now we have our asset management department that's doing life expectancy on all the assets in the company. So to be able to track that would be a benefit.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And you're specifically talking about is that Art?
Yes.
Specifically tracking the time spent on an asset, basically?
Well, like, for example, I mean, because I haven't been very connected with that group and what they're doing, but like our poles, the life of a wood pole as opposed to, the steel poles we have. So they're trying to get life expectancy of every single asset in the company.
Okay.
So, and so
Oh, yeah.
what I saw in that presentation when it said hours on, and I couldn't recall what it was that I saw, but I thought, oh, that would be beneficial to that group because that's what they're trying to get that metric for KPIs.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, next we've got another big idea, and this is, I think we're going to have a session right after this, maybe in this room.
I think it is actually, yeah.
About the use of roster apps, perhaps. Roster apps and call out within things like your call center. I know some of you are beginning to walk down that road. I think some people in this room are. And so I won't cover this in detail. I don't want to steal their thunder, but I think we've got a breakout session coming out right after this. Next item was...
It's the calendars with roster apps as well.
Oh, yeah. Roster apps calendar to third-party calendars such as Google Calendar. So ARCOS, for many of you, has become a system of record for schedules, at least for the field, for schedules. And we get this question a fair amount, hey, that ARCOS calendar, we rely on it a lot. Could that just link to their Google Calendar and their phone
or Apple Calendar.
Or Apple Calendar or whatever they happen to have. Would that be useful? Anyone? Yeah, okay, nodding heads.
A lot of head nods on that one, yeah.
Great. Here's another Dominion one. It says PJ Haley here, but I think I told Mark I was going to call on him for this, so if you're still there, Mark. Nikki's going to win this foot race.
Okay, locations. Our hierarchy is broken down by 4. We have a company, organization, region, and office. So when we onboard new employees, or when an employee is moving from one location to another, our users, move that employee to the location. Because of the way our organization is designed, we may have one office in our 4 times.
Okay.
So, one for electric distribution, one for transmission, one for customer service, and one for business continuity. So they only have a 25% chance of using the drop down of getting that person in the right location. So we would like to, even though the selector button is right there, most people try to use the drop down. So we asked that they can still use the drop down, but when they select the location, a pop-up will appear with the hierarchy.
The whole hierarchy.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So for those dual commodity businesses, you could pick the right one, or if you've got an emergency management Coronado versus distribution line Coronado versus transmission line Coronado.
Right, and I think the 2 locations we identified is on the employee record and the future location when they're changing jobs, because everything at Dominion starts at Sunday night at midnight. So unless you want to be up at Sunday night at midnight physically moving that person, we can do a future change. But once again, you don't really know where you're sending them.
And so I can understand if I'm making that change, I'm an ARCOS admin or maybe a location admin or something, and I'm making a change for an employee like that. Like you said, I'm rolling the dice. I have a 25% chance of getting it right. When I get it wrong, what happens?
Well, if it's one of our hourly employees, they're not put on the right roster to be called in as a resource, which could lead to grievances, and there's a financial impact to that, loss of work, so forth. So it's
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Yeah, so highly kind of a small administrative thing, but then
not bad.
Huge downstream impacts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a training opportunity to always use the location selector, but there's a high turnover and clerical support, so it's hard to keep up with it.
No, it's a great ad. Thank you. Thanks, Mark. Next item is Cameron here from PG&E? Oh,
Back corner there.
I didn't warn Cameron I was going to call on him. Could you explain this? I thought this was interesting and maybe kind of related to our kind of knowledge-based conversations and portal and idea bank. What were you thinking here?
So in several applications that are like free-form database development tools, what you see is what you get type tools, after you've created a tool or a application or a solution for your company, there's a button typically that says create documentation. And then it spits out a spreadsheet with all the fields you used and the formulas in the field, how they're related, and then gives you 2 or 3 blank columns so that you can start building out the details so that you now have a base documentation that you can share with your tech support, with your users, and you can start, you're not starting from a blank page, basically.
That's a great point.
And I know you have some of this built out. PJ showed me some things that you can pull from the API, but I'm thinking if you put a wrapper around that, it would be even cooler.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
It's a great idea.
Yeah,
was someone else? Thought I heard. Okay.
Before you move on from that one too, I think, Cameron, I think you were in there last night, like adding a bunch of stuff. Is that right?
They told me you were concerned you didn't have enough ideas.
Thank you for being honest. I was just say, and great honesty there, but yeah, thank you. Yeah. So Cameron wins the day for the most ads this week, which
and
is fantastic.
He was carrying around a few because we must have got a dozen last night.
Yeah,
from Cameron.
he had a
So Cameron, don't give up the mic yet, because drum roll.
Yep, another one here.
API documentation, beginner's guide to setup and configuration with Power BI. I know we've got a lot of other Power BI users in the room.
A lot of them.
And do you want to say a little more on why would that be important?
Well, apparently it integrates with Power BI really, really well and gives you all the data from whatever endpoint you call on. So if you call out or try and connect to the call out API endpoint, you get all the call out data. The problem is getting that authentication, especially for the less technical users who aren't maybe as experienced writing the authentication piece. So a 1 or 2 page quick get started in how to connect to Power BI would probably increase adoption exponentially.
Great, that's a great idea.
One. Yeah, another good one, without a doubt.
I know we've got a few more minutes here. The next hypothesis is predictive decision making. You've heard us say that several times, but ARCOS has so much data, not only about my company, not only about my peers, but about the industry and about the contract pool that we all share. How can that be put together to help me make better decisions? And can ARCOS predict some future behavior, or at least give you maybe the odds at the decision point? What it could look like is, and I know, again, I keep referring to it, but I know there's going to be a ROSTRAPS presentation. We were asking our staff, hey, what are some big ideas? What's some big ideas you have? We'd like to ask some challenging questions at the conference. John Brandt came up with this great one. He pulled me aside and said, I'm pretty sure if we analyze ROSTRAPS data right, if you're using ROSTRAPS every day, we could tell when somebody's going to quit. Like, oh, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, we can predict that before they quit. Like literally predict it before they quit.
So data analysis like that, perhaps, and that's without extensive call-out history data, proclivity to take overtime, proclivity to take certain types of calls.
Infractions, amount of infractions. Time that they were supposed to clock in versus actual time clocked in. Right? You see them starting to be later and later and later over a period of days. That's not a good sign, right?
So Matt's earlier presentation, you saw that kind of the AI model he ran where it was kind of like predicting an accept or a decline. Could be that. It could be on a call-out basis, or it could be just a longer-term report. And you could zoom out and say, here's employee history, call-out percentage, proclivity to take overtime, absenteeism, and then here's a little prediction on that. What does my field force look like in 6 months if I don't do anything? That could be interesting. John, do you want to say anything else about, did I get it right? I nailed it? First one.
You got it. Good job.
Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing. Congratulations, Bill.
Excellent. Next big idea item, connecting peers regionally and nationally, a larger picture of resource availability is coming into focus. Yeah, so this is the idea of the kind of zoom out from the individual utility to the RMAG, and then zoom out again and look at the whole nationwide picture of resources. We're not there yet. We're still building the resource assist database of FTEs. We're up to 20,000, Jason said. So as that picture grows and as more and more utilities come on board with the ARCOS family, we've got a better idea of the skilled line resources, veg resources, other types of specialty equipment contractors that are nationwide. Might be interesting for you all to know not just what's happening to you, but a quick picture of what's happening nationwide. Perhaps being able to ask what-if questions. If your weather service, we heard about SDG&E's great weather service, if the weather service is predicting something, and especially if that pattern is over another part of the US, actually what's that doing to resource levels in addition to what's it doing for damage and customer outages? And I think we're like right at time, I think.
Yeah, we've got, do you want to go one big one after this one, just to kind of talk about, because it's what they were talking about?
Cameron, you want to highlight this, or you ready for a break?
Okay, this one wasn't from last night. This was actually a week or two ago.
It's good to hear. He's a good user.
So
That's
this
great.
one would be the ability to sort crews from the contractor portal. Currently in the contractor portal, when they have their crews laid out, it's laid out in the order they were created. So in some instances, that crew has no longer been on property, and since we keep some of our requests open for 6 months, they can end up with a lot of these empty crews down there, and so they're having to scroll to find the new ones. Even if they change the name, because in other instances, you change the name to start with a Z, so it drops down to the bottom and you don't have to worry about it. But in this case, it seems very rigid to how it's built.
It's good. Good
Great point.
usability one.
Yeah, usability.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's already in there. It was in there pre-conference.
Yeah.
It's already got 3 votes. Vote on it if you like that.
Yeah, or force people to vote on it, just like we did with you. Yes, last night.
So I think this is our last slide, or one of our last slides. Just as a reminder as we wrap. Oh no, this isn't it.
No, this is the crew manager perspective. It's what someone was saying before.
Okay, yeah.
This is the big
crew
stuff.
manager perspective.
Yeah.
Yep. Thanks.
Yeah.
The other idea might be mobile workbench forms.
Yeah. One of the things that we're thinking about is, like, honestly, when you think about best practices, I'll say real quick, with crew manager perspectives, of course, having like that marketplace where you can just say, yep, I want to use this one. And maybe it brings down and you can use it as a template. Also with mobile workbench, we're working on that form designer. If you build a form, right, if we had a marketplace, would that be beneficial? Right? Whether it's damage assessment, inspection, whatever those starting point forms are, you could just use them out of the bat. So that's another thing that we're looking at. And I think we already talked a lot about this. A lot of people said yes. That's fantastic.
I think that's it. I think we're at time, and I think we're at a break.
We are. One quick thing before we leave. If there's any big ideas we missed, come yell at us about those big ideas, right? Tell us what they are. Even if they're small, let us know what they are. Let's talk about them. Let's get them in the idea bank.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all. Appreciate it. Thank you. We'll see you there.